Thank you, Jason David Frank.
And Mr. Saban.
That's Tom.
And that's Chris. As you can see, we are not alone for this episode.
That's right, we're talking about the Boom Studios comics.
So stay tuned.
It's PRNT time.
What's up, everybody? It's Jimmy McKnight.
Norm Larkins.
Will from the Ninja Starship, and you are watching PRNT.
Welcome, Rangers.
This episode of
PRNT,
your source for all things
Power Rangers.
Again, we are over at our buddy Josh Wentworth's house, and we have some guests, so I guess we should introduce them first, huh, Chris?
Yep. Chris, this is Chris.
Hi.
Chris, say your full name and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Chris Van Dusen. I am an admin of Power Rangers 365 and the Superhero Basement. Been a huge lifelong comic book fan and Power Ranger fan.
And we also have Josh Wentworth with us again.
I'm back. That's right, Josh Wentworth from Power Rangers 365, the Ranger Store, Wenzilla. Used to be the Wenzilla reboot. Changed that up. Also part of Muscle Geek Physique, and pretty much everything Power Rangers related on Facebook and Instagram.
We'll put all the links to everything Josh rambled about, and as well as the Superhero Basement, down in the description below.
All right, we are here to do another comic book episode. A lot has happened since we talked about it the first time, and we brought in these guys to help us with that. So last time we left off with the Chaos Crystal, yes?
I believe so. We might have went a little past that, but we'll just go ahead and go back and kind of do a brief overview of the whole story.
All right.
Yeah.
So the Chaos Crystal, what was that about?
Chaos Crystal was a crystal that Rita used to absorb some of the green energy. Therefore, she made her own copy of the Dragon Dagger and entered the...
Dance party!
Oh, right.
Anyway, so back to the crystal. What was that about?
The Chaos Crystal was a crystal that Rita used to absorb some of the green energy, and she made a copy of the Dragon Dagger and entered the crystal into it, allowing Scorpina to use the Dragon Zord.
All right, we're not going to spoil everything, so if you want to know the full story, be sure to go to your local comic shop and pick up the comics if you're not already. So we are going to jump around a little bit, so now that we've set the stage for the Chaos Crystal, what is next?
Well, keep in mind we are going to have some spoilers in here, so watch this episode with caution. The next thing we are going to talk about, though, is a new villain that has approached the Rangers, called the Black Dragon. Chris or Josh, could you elaborate on the Black Dragon for us?
The Black Dragon... the Black Dragon is a creature that's been communicating with Rita, and he appears and causes chaos in the Rangers' lives. He is able to break through the command center, and he kidnaps Billy, the Blue Ranger. He pulls him out of his teleportation. We've never seen that before. A monster actually put his hand inside the blue beam and pulled Billy out. He removes Billy's power coin and cuts the other 5 Rangers off from the Morphin Grid, with the exception of Tommy.
All right, so the Black Dragon is obviously a pretty bad dude. He has cut most of the Rangers off from the Morphing Grid, except for one.
Yes, Tommy has not been cut off from the Morphin Grid because he draws his power differently from the Morphin Grid than the other 5 Rangers.
So he's pretty, Tommy's pretty powerful, kind of like Jason David Frank, right?
I love you, JDF.
I figured. I had to.
Yeah.
So then all the Rangers, he decides that he's going to jump in and give his power so that the other Rangers can morph.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Since he draws his power a different way, he's passes it along to the other Rangers. They morph into their same costumes, but with one major difference. They're green. All of them.
I'd say that it was a little weird to see that for me. I wanted to get excited about that, but the whole time I was looking, I was like, I was almost cringing because it just was so off to me because I'm so trained that, you know, T-Rex is red, he's not green, and so to see that, like, it was different.
To this point, so far in the comic, we've only seen Zach. Even though he wasn't for real in the suit, but he was the only one that we've seen in the suit as a thought, possibly. Like, the only artwork we've seen of another Green Ranger was Zach in that suit. So,
Right.
It's kind of, I think the comic itself, when you saw that cover, definitely brought you in. You're like, I need to read this. You know, what's going on here? If you weren't caught up.
So, Josh, what you're talking about, in the comics, it turns out that Rita first offered the dragon coin to Zach.
Yeah, yes. Very, very a long time ago. So it's quite a few issues back.
Issue 5.
So we learned that Zach obviously turned it down, which is why Tommy ended up getting it, and so on. But getting back to the main story here, Billy and Tommy are able to infiltrate the Black Dragon, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, while Billy is kidnapped, after he got kidnapped by the Black Dragon, he's held in the Dark Dimension with Goldar, and he's able to watch the fight. He realizes that the Black Dragon is mechanical. He feels it's like a Zord. He talks with Goldar, they cut a deal, he lets Billy out, and Tommy and Billy enter the Black Dragon, confirming Billy's suspicions. Once that happens, the Black Dragon starts to shrink down. Once it shrinks down, Billy and Tommy are transported to a completely different dimension. At this point in the story, we're not sure if it's an alternate timeline, if it's the future, or an alternate dimension timeline.
Or like Flash, it could be same but different, Flash points. And Flash pretty much, it's because of Flash why it happened.
Yeah.
That's what I'm assuming. It has to be.
Yes, it could be a different Earth, we're not sure. Or
Dang it, Barry!
Alright, so once they are in the new dimension, we see some familiar things, some different. We see the remains of the Thunder Zords, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we see that. We see that the police or the patrol in this alternate timeline or the future, whatever it is an army of Black Rangers.
Super
right?
Black Halo Rangers.
Right, yeah.
Mastodon Halos, I like to call them.
Yep. And then we actually see a familiar sight. It calls out to Tommy, a familiar friend, really. And who is that?
That would be Saba. In one of Zordon's energy tubes, to my interpretation, in the power chamber.
Right.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Saba calls out to Billy and Tommy, and we don't know who it is at first. When I was reading it, I was thinking maybe it was one of the Rangers that have lost their powers and was hiding out, or maybe even Alpha. But we find out that it's Saba. Of course, the Rangers at this point have no idea who Saba is, but Saba knows all about them, which I thought was kind of sweet to see in the story.
After exiting the supposed power chamber, Billy and Tommy finally run into the villain of this dimension. And who is that?
It is Lord Dracon. He is a Power Ranger that looks to be a hybrid between the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger and the Mighty Morphin White Ranger. He has a very unique costume, but very familiar. And he takes it upon himself to reveal who he is to Tommy and Billy. And it's...
Drumroll, please.
An
Future
older...
Tommy.
No.
Yes,
Future Tommy. He is Future Tommy. I'm saying it here.
I don't know.
He could be an old Tommy. He could be a future Tommy. He could be...
He has white streaks in his hair.
He's alternate Tommy.
Alternate Tommy.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hashtag alternate Tommy.
Yeah. Chris and I were talking. This reveal kind of... it was cool, but it was a little bit predictable. You know, it was kind of a little disappointing, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, in an issue, I have to be honest, I was really excited for this issue, reading it, and there was so much build-up and so many cool things, like seeing the destroyed Thunder Zords, seeing Saba in the power chamber, that it was kind of anticlimactic to see who Lord J-Con was. In my opinion, I was kind of thinking it was Zack,
Right.
due to the events from issue 5.
We are going to put the pause on the main series, mostly because that's the end of where we're at in the storyline right now, and we're going to jump to the spin-off Pink. So, where did we leave off in Pink? It had just come out in our last episode, right?
Yeah. But before we move on to that, I do want to say, what are your thoughts about the ending of the main story so far? Please let us know in the comments below. We're excited to hear what you think. Now, like Tom says, we'll move on to Pink. The first issue just came out when we last talked about this. Now
It has concluded.
It's done.
Yeah,
It's done.
issue 6
Yeah.
came out about 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So, and I think it ended beautifully. It broke my heart, but I'm jumping ahead. Let's kind of go over from beginning to end of the Pink story. Again, spoiler alert.
Okay. The Pink miniseries follows Kimberly after she had left the team in season 3. And it's about a couple months afterwards, and we get to see where she is at in her gymnastics career. She is competing in the Pan Global Games. We get to see that even though she left Angel Grove behind, there's still stuff happening all over the world, and she runs into monsters, of course.
Right. In France, right?
In France,
In
yes.
France, right, yeah. And what had happened is this villain had come in and, like, turned the population to, like, fish people, right? Yeah, that's, like, the best way I can describe it, yeah. So then, through a series of events, Kim is able to contact Zordon and Alpha, and the Power Rangers are off on a distant planet, but he gives them power. She then spread it to the friends, and we find Goldar in this one. And Goldar and Kim actually kind of work together a little bit, which is cool to see. And then we get to the end, and we kind of make a connection back to the TV series. What happened?
Yes. Many fans will remember from Power Rangers Zeo that Kimberly left Tommy. She wrote him a Dear John letter, and we get to see her thought process as she writes that letter. She has an encounter with the Rangers where she feels that Tommy's moved on. He's still a Power Ranger. He's got more important things than to be worrying about her. And not only that, she didn't even know he was off-world, so she doesn't feel their relationship is going anywhere. So she decides a year later to write that Dear John letter.
Right.
You know, now that you explain it that way, I almost don't. I'm not as mad at Kimberly. Like, when I saw that on the show, my heart broke. Everyone's hearts broke. Although we were kind of like, "Hey, Kimberly's single now."
A little bit, yeah.
We didn't get an explanation in the show, really. So it is kind of nice to see that. And even reading it in the comic, I was like, Kimberly, why? But you explaining that the way you did, that makes me kind of be like,
That's
okay,
mad?
I like that. Yeah, yeah.
You should
I
have seen him when he first read it.
Tissues.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
He cried for weeks. Oh. Yeah.
So then we also have the other part of the Boom comic that came out, the mashup between DC and Power Rangers.
Oh, we don't want to talk about that, do we?
I mean,
Do we?
probably should.
And as we sign off, our hope is
All right, so yes, obviously we're going to talk about this. Again, we're going to plug Superhero Basement. Go check out their page on Facebook, and look into the future for some possible upcoming YouTube projects.
So, Justice League Power Rangers.
Yes.
What happens?
It opens beautifully.
It does.
Opens beautifully with a gigantic hole that used to be the city of Angel Grove. DC comic fans can kind of see where this is going. But we have this great scene where the Rangers are heartbroken because they failed. Especially Zach. He feels the worst. And the one person to console him is a guy hovering off the ground by the name of Superman. I'm sure you've heard of him. You guys have heard of Superman before?
Once, twice, I think.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah.
And he tells Zach, we know who did this, and we have to fight. Stand up.
Yeah, so again, this series has just started, but it's super exciting. I know that there's a lot of people that are just ready and going to go out and collect them all, and it's going to be a really good series.
Isn't there one part where I thought it was an awesome part? Something with the Batmobile and the Zords. I think it was the best part so far for me when was it Flash was trying to talk to the rest of the Justice League, and Kimberly came down and swooped in and picked up the Batmobile. There's something like that.
Yeah.
And a great line by the Flash at the end.
Something I think is cool about the series so far, going back to the more Power Ranger side, this is the first time in the main stories so far that we've seen Lord Zedd. I think we've seen him in like some of the little spin-off mini comics at the end of the stories.
He was in the annual.
Yeah, he was in the annual.
A terrific story in the annual.
Yeah, that was.
But this is the first time we're seeing him in the main storyline. If you can even call this a main storyline, maybe you call this a spinoff. I don't know. But that's exciting. We're seeing Lord Zedd.
Well, there's going to be 6 issues, I believe, right? Yeah, so 6 issues. So it's going to be a mini-series.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully...
It's okay. As of right now, we're on issue 2.
DC versus Power Rangers. Again, we're only 2 issues in, so there's not much to talk about.
We did get a pretty cool Power Rangers versus Justice League fight. We got to see the Flash take the Rangers' weapons away.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, before we close out, any last comments, guys?
That's it. Just support your local comic book shops.
Yeah.
Definitely. Comic books are very important, guys.
Get a membership, be a part of it. Most memberships are free, and they can set up a poll box for you. That way you never miss an issue of Power Rangers and Boom Comics. So,
definitely pick these up. Check them out for yourselves. Sorry if you somehow missed our spoiler warnings and you didn't want to be spoiled of this.
Surprise!
But if you have not read the comics, please go pick them up, read them. If you go right up over there, you can find us on Facebook.
If you go right up over there, you can follow us on Twitter.
And if you go right over here, you can follow us on Instagram.
And remember, as we sign off, our hope is that the power will always protect you.
Let's power down.